What's up guys, this is Gorilla Geek. This video is an introduction on how to install a vehicle antenna. There I have 4 antennas mounted on top of the cab of this pickup truck, the company vehicle. Elevated 800 megahertz antenna. The 2 middle ones there are VHF antennas. One for my tracker, automatic packet reporting system, and the other one is for my high band radio. And the black one here is a dual band, 400 and 150 megahertz. I'm not going to show how to install this big guy here. For those of you who are my CB brothers, this is what they use for CB antennas, for quarter wave CB antenna. But this is low band VHF, around 45 megahertz. That's what this is tuned for. And I think the size of this antenna is 85 or 75 inches long for a quarter wave on that frequency band. If it was CB, it would have been 102 inches tall. A little bit too much. Well, I got permission from the Supreme Commander to install one antenna on our family passenger car here. So my wife says it's okay for me to poke holes on this, since this vehicle is kind of ghetto looking anyway, so one little antenna ain't gonna make a difference. Right now I have a on this particular vehicle here, I do have a automatic packet reporting system radio in there, APRS, to track this vehicle over the internet. It's a ham thing. There's a radio in there with a GPS interface with it, with some circuitry to transmit your location through a network of receivers out there that's placed all over the place. If one of those receivers pick up your signal, your packet, it'll transmit that into the internet, and you could track this vehicle on the internet. I'm not gonna demonstrate that because somebody may decode that tone and find out where I'm at, and I don't want that to happen. But as you can see here, you have no way of knowing that this vehicle is being tracked. It's kind of like LoJack, a poor man's LoJack. I have a hidden antenna in here called a coaxial antenna, and I have it installed in the front bumper there. So a coaxial antenna is sort of a field expedient antenna that you can make out of just a transmission cable. It's coming out of the inside cab through the firewall here, where I poke a hole through, or an existing hole. Have the coaxial cable running all the way over here, and here it is. And I have it tucked inside my plastic front bumper there. And there it is. So here's my covert coaxial antenna tuned to 144.39 megahertz, the APRS network frequency for reporting packets in your location and stuff. This is my my exposed wire as the antenna, and the black lead there is my ground plane. You need a ground plane for a quarter wave antenna. So this is cut with there's a formula that tells you how to calculate the quarter wavelength of a signal. So you'll use that measurement to cut this antenna. There's other YouTube channels that'll tell you in detail what that is. I'm not going to go through that mess. But this is just a coaxial cable that I just cut up, field expedient. I'm too cheap to buy a commercial bumper antenna and all that good stuff. But now that I've gotten permission to go ahead and poke holes through the vehicle, I'm actually going to install an NMO mount antenna. NMO stands for New Motorola Mount Antenna. So basically this is the type of antenna mount we're going to install. A 3/4 inch NMO mount. And this one here is for demonstration purposes. I used to have a ammo box here with a radio in it and use it as a go box. That's like ham speak for like a bug out bag, but for radios. It's kind of like a bug out radio, used in emergency backups and stuff like that. But anyway, this is just a little geek thing that I've built since I abandoned it. But I kept the box though, because it has a NMO mount on it already. There's my transmission cable. This was pretty tough to drill through. And these are the drills, custom-made drills for sale to make that hole. And you can see it has sort of a stop there. Once you make the cut through the vehicle top there, it stops, so it won't continue going into the headliner. And there's a couple of vintage drills here. There's one style. This is a beefier style here. I like this the best because when the saw part of it gets worn out, they're replaceable, including the pilot drill there. So all these components are replaceable, and they're made by Antonex. Really cheap and expensive components to purchase your parts and whatnot. They're since been brought out by Laird. Look it up, they'll tell you all about it. But anyway, all you really need is a hole saw. You could also use a 3/4 inch regular hole saw to make the hole themselves. But those saws, you just got to be careful not to go all the way through into the headliner. You can purchase the cable kit that has the mount already installed on the cable on one end, and then the other end you could specify what kind of connector you want. This cable is 17 inches long, RG58 50 ohm cable used in two-way radio communications. And yeah, so you don't have to have the crimper and solder and all that stuff to place the end on here. You can specify what end you need to interface with whatever radio that you may have. I have the crimpers and stuff, so I'm just going to build my end that I need. And you can see the mount here is made out of brass. The nut itself and the two little wings there that connect from the other side. I've seen many of fire engines and police vehicles go through brush, car washes and whatever, and break off the antenna. This is made out of brass, so if that situation comes, it would break the wings off. There's a stress. They're made a little bit thinner, so that would break off and not totally rip your body, your steel body, or the top of your vehicle. So and once that happens, then you have to they sell the kits here that you can replace it and solder on the connectors yourself, so you don't have to run the whole cable again. If you're comfortable with soldering and stuff, they have kits here that you can replace that with. But if you're careful, it will never happen. Cops and firefighters and stuff, sometimes they forget what they have and they think it's indestructible, and they call me to come out and repair it. So yeah, so that's the kit right there. If you guys are worried about water intrusions, here's the other side of that mount there. It has a little groove there, and it has a O-ring there to stop moisture from coming in. And also, antennas that you buy would have a washer, a rubber gasket on them as well, so you have double the protection. In the 10-odd years of installing these, if done correctly, I never seen a case of water intrusion into the cab or trunk or wherever you install this antenna at. So water is not an issue with this as far as intrusion into your vehicle, if done correctly. Antenna placement is important. I just have these antennas here as an example, one on top and one on the trunk. For vehicle communications, it's ideal to have a quarter wavelength antenna. Quarter wavelength of the hertz of the signal that you're transmitting. So in this particular case, this is 400 megahertz. So the wavelength, a quarter wavelength of that would be, that looks like 5 inches, give and take. Don't don't have it precise. But this is tuned for 450 megahertz here. So that's only half the antenna. The other half of the antenna is comprised of the ground plane. So the piece of real estate around the antenna itself, which is the ground, that's the other part of the antenna actually. I'm not going to go into the physics of it because it's kind of foggy for myself as well. But you need that ground plane to have this antenna transmit efficiently. It's not a good idea to have it at the end there. Yeah, you have this space here for a ground plane, but it's not the same, and kind of looks kind of goofy there anyway. So the higher the frequency, the shorter the wavelength. And that in turn will say the shorter the height of the quarter wave antenna. So if this was 45 megahertz, it would be something like 46 inches tall, and you need a bigger ground plane for that. So ideally for 45 megahertz, it will be right on top of the vehicle itself, because you have that whole top of the vehicle to act as a ground plane. But I'm just going to use VHF 150 megahertz or 144 megahertz, the ham band for that tracker I got in there. And the inches on that will be roughly 17 inches or so. Don't know precisely yet.